definition here and gave you a good feel of this game. 5-5, they play 10 times. Now, you tell me, well, you know what? What do you know? Well, listen, they play the Patriots, well, the Giants, number one. Number two, they played the Eagles this year with Foles, and he knows that Eagle team pretty well, and obviously he saw the Eagles early in the year as well. They're in week 3. So this is a guy who knows both teams very, very well, and he thinks it could be very competitive. So I thought that was very interesting from that perspective. So we got to keep that in mind here as we get ready for a Sunday afternoon. We'll get your calls in, 888-MAD-DOG-6. That's your two-way sports talk telephone number. I know we've been a little haphazard with our call segment today, but we'll get our calls in, and we'll have some fun here as we take you home on this busy afternoon. Steve, a little later on, as we chat to you about what's going on in the world of sports. Really, I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anything elsewhere right now that I find interesting. The owners in baseball are going to meet. Are meeting right now in Beverly Hills with all the backdrop of pace of play and the free agents who have not yet signed. Nobody's getting signed this week. I can tell you that. Nobody is getting signed this week, 3 days before the Super Bowl. So, I mean, and spring training, again, the first game is 3 weeks from Friday. So from that perspective, you got to keep that. I mean, not a lot of time for these free agents, and there's a million of them out there to find themselves a home. I do not understand the Yankee and Dodger fixation with Darvish. I mean, I guess that everybody's running. I do not get that. I mean, Darvish to me is a guy I would avoid with a 30-foot pole. I would not go near him. But the Yankees seem to love him, and the Dodgers maybe move a little payroll. Because they don't want to hit that luxury tax number. Maybe they make a run at him, too. So the baseball is quiet right now. There's a lot of thoughts about pace of play. Put a guy on second base to start a spring training game in the 10th inning. I have no issues with that whatsoever, so you can move the game along. The other issue is to start the 11th inning in the All-Star game with a guy at second base, too. I have no issues with that. Why not? It's an exhibition. No longer is home field on the table. So I have no issues with that, too. So if they want to do, they can do anything they want with these dopey little games. They want to do something in spring training. They want to put something on the line with the All-Star game. I don't have any problem with it whatsoever. If that's what baseball wants to do, I'm okay with it from that perspective. So we keep that in mind from that deal. The NBA, I like what Stan Van Gundy said regarding Blake Griffin. He said, we are one of the few teams, maybe the only team in the NFL, the NBA, that does not have a first, second, or third, or fourth pick in the draft on our team. We're the only team. They do not have a top 4 pick who plays for them. And Griffin is a guy who was a top 4 pick. Number 1 pick, second pick, whatever it was. So they had a chance to get a player who is a top 4 pick in the draft to go to Detroit to play for the next 4 or 5 years. Now, remember, nobody's going to Detroit as a free agent, all right? It's cold. The team hasn't won in a long time. Their team isn't great. Nobody's going to go crazy to go play for the Detroit Pistons. It's not necessarily a desirable location. They got good history, but they're not a desirable location. They're not Miami. They're not Los Angeles. They're not New York, Boston. It's a tough place to play. So from that standpoint, he figured, I'm not getting a free agent here. I can't draft a guy. I'm going to have the 12th pick in the draft, even if I stink and don't make the playoffs. I'm not going to get a lottery. I'm not going to have the top 2 or 3 pick. So I'm not getting a player from that standpoint. So that's my chance to get one of these players. So let me make this trade. And if you look at it from that perspective, it makes sense. All right, here is Tony in Florida, and he's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Tony, good afternoon. How are you today? What do you have for me?
How you doing, Chris?
Yes, Tony. Nice to talk to you. What's on your mind now?
How far up do you think that the Cousins and Smith trade went? Do you think they went to Gruden before they made the deal to find out if he was okay? I mean, I know Snyder goes his own way. Do you think they went to Gruden?
Oh, God, yes. Oh, God, yes. It's a quarterback. Yeah, Gruden had his hands on this trade. I mean, there's no way they're trading away a starting quarterback if he wanted to keep him in the worst way. There's no chance whatsoever. Gruden, now, I don't know if he made the final call on it. It's not his money. But, yes, Gruden made that call, and we will have Clark Hunt on Friday, and I will ask Hunt a couple of things on it. Number one is Mahomes. Was he okay with them drafting Mahomes last year? And then number two, was he okay with them getting Smith out of there, jettisoning him to let Mahomes be his starting quarterback. I would think he's going to tell me Andy Reid's my coach. Andy Reid does what he has to do for the ball club. I stay out of it. We'll see what he says there. But I think both ownerships were kept apprised. Snyder maybe more fingers on the trade than, say, Clark Hunt had. But that's a good question. Yes, Gruden had some say. Go ahead. Next.
Okay, and then the other question, I know the caller brought up earlier about Tiger, and I know everybody's talking about the Super Bowl, but I'm like you. I think it was encouraging to see how he played. No pain that looked like he was in. How do you think he does in the Masters coming up?
Way too soon yet. I think he'll be, he rises to the occasion. I would definitely think right this second or 4 rounds without hitting another golf ball in a tournament setting before April 5th, I would think he'd make the cut. I don't think he'd win, but I think he'd make the cut. I think Tiger needs to probably win a golf tournament before I can see him winning a major. It would be very difficult for me to think that Tiger, and good call, Tone, would go out there and win a major without winning something prior to that, just to get the sense of it on Sunday in the back 9. So, but I do think he's going to be good enough to make the cut. He knows the course. He loves the course. The course loves him. He rises to the occasion. He made the cut here. I would think he'd, at the bare minimum, make the cut. But he's not going to have the intimidation factor that he used to have. These players are great. The McIlroys, the Spieths, he's not going to have that going for him. He needs to win a tournament beforehand, so we'll see. Pat in Chicago, he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Pat, good afternoon. How are you today? What do you have for me?
Hi, Chris. Hey, I was thinking about the Blake Griffith trade, and the whole thing, I remember when, they DeAndre Jordan and they went back on when they went back on Mark Cuban, when DeAndre Jordan gave him his word that he was going to play for the Mavericks, and then
Doc Rivers got him to change his mind. Yeah, good point. Yes, go ahead.
Well, I remember. I think Chris Paul and Blake Griffith got him in there, and I'm sure that Mark Cuban feels somewhat vindicated, and a lot of people feel like that those guys, meaning Blake and Chris, were somewhat complicit on DeAndre kind of going back on his word. Again, me personally, I think it was a little unmanly. That I don't think they should have talked him out of it. You don't talk a man to go back on his word. So,
this is a dog eat dog in the NBA. You can't lose these players. You're right. Obviously, Dallas thought they had him locked up. They somehow figured out a way to get him back. So from that standpoint, you're 100% right. Now, that's the way it goes, though. This happens all the time. These are huge players. These players change franchises. They wanted DeAndre Jordan back in the worst way. That's not a surprise. Go ahead. Next. Let me hear.
Okay, yeah. Mark Cuban is pretty happy today, though. And what else?
Yeah, there's probably some truth to that. There's probably, Pat, some truth to that. Jordan is a good player, but what he is a piece in a puzzle. He's not going to help you win a championship. You can win a championship with him, but he's not going to be a difference maker between winning a championship and not. I agree. Next, go ahead.
Agreed. One last comment, and that is with regard to the Super Bowl. I was thinking, people that don't like Roger Goodell after some of the national anthem controversy. I was thinking about the going ahead and inviting. I'm sure he had some role in that as far as Justin Timberlake coming back after the whole situation with him and Janet Jackson in the Super Bowl. So I think people, that probably doesn't, when it comes to family values, doesn't resonate with some of the people who,
I'm not sure about that. I mean, they're trying to be hip. They're good call. They're trying to appeal to a different audience that may not necessarily be so wrapped up in the game. Everybody tells me Timberlake's a great guy. My brother-in-law has played golf with him at Westchester, swears by him. Nicest guy in the world. Jimmy Lavelle loves him. Nicest guy in the world. So, I mean, he's not my cup of tea. I'm not watching at halftime. I'll be the first to admit it. But they're trying to be hip in that scenario. Let's do one more before we talk to Brett Daniels of Atlanta. Mike in Florida, and he's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Mike, good afternoon. How are you today? What do you have for me?
I'm doing good, Chris. Hey, I just wanted to thank Torrey. 2 days ago, he said that Indiana was going to get crushed and bet the house on Ohio State. I did. I bet the house and I won, so thank him for me.
Steve Torrey, there's a fan who bet Ohio State last night and won a bunch. So good job. And Steve said it. Well done there, Mike. Well, you got to have more than that to tell me here today. What else you got in your mind? Go ahead. He did. That's what he wanted to say. So Torrey who, it's funny, Steve tells everybody else what to win, and he never wins. It's the strangest thing. If Steve bet Ohio State last night, Indiana would have won. Brett Daniels is next. We'll talk about Atlanta here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Don't go away.